This is my 1999 BMW Z3 Mcoop with the S52 engine producing 240 horsepower. That's the basics. The color is Imola Red 2, but the history here is quite fascinating. So about 11 years ago, my wife got me this hat. So my wife got me this hat about 11 years ago when I got my 1999 Imola Red BMW Z3 Mcoop. 2 years later, due to some unfortunate events, I ended up having to sell it. Then recently, about 4 months ago, I started missing that car. And, obviously I kept the hat, and I started thinking about, wow, one of these days, I'm going to get another one. I don't know when, but it will happen. I remember telling my wife that, and she was like, go for it. And the story on how I was able to get this car, which is exactly as I had my other car with the black Napa leather interior, Imola Red, it's identical. And how this car came about was absolutely incredible. I'm going to share that story with you in a minute. But first, let's take a look at the car, right? Let's go take a look. All right, bear with me as I adjust some things here. Yep, sorry, getting all messed up here. Anyway, all right. So I got a personalized plate. I decided to go with the gloss black chrome with the M stripes because that's something that I wanted to do. Not a lot of people agree with that, and cool, it's not their car. Doesn't matter. They don't have to drive it. They really don't even have to look at it, so whatever. So there's some work I have to get done on the car. Like obviously the wheels, you can see the wheels need to be refinished, and it's even more on the other side. And obviously we've got some serious issues going on here, a bunch of rock chips, which is pretty standard. So we're gonna do a whole full repaint on this, and we're gonna get this car looking like it drove off the showroom floor. And so let's take a look at the inside. The inside is super clean. I mean, what are you gonna say about this inside? It's just really, really clean. The leather is in great shape. Excuse me. So we'll go around the other side here. Get to the back. I mean, the wheels have some, curb rash, and they need to be refinished, as I said. I was able to clean up the pipes, got those looking a little more chromier. Excuse me. But here's the back. I just love this back. Love this back because you got that screen right there. I love that. And then you've got, this thing folds back, which opens up the back. So, I mean, there's a lot of room back here. I prefer to keep this shield on simply because no other reason than I just like it that way. Of course, you can't do anything right when you're holding the camera and trying to close that at the same time. Anyway, passenger side. Now, these are not the factory floor mats. I had to order some because they're absolutely impossible to find. The M floor mats for the Z3 Mcoop. So these are some aftermarket ones that were made. They did a really, really good job. There's the dashes. I put a shorter shifter on it. I still have the old one, which lights up, which is really, really cool, but it's a little bit taller. My friend, my good buddy Hisham, sorry about that, Hisham, got me that, gave me that one. And then this had an aftermarket stereo in it, but when you hear about this story, I got the factory one in, so we're all good there. So it looks all original. But you'll see here, we've got some, yep, there you go. There's a couple of dents there. So you've got this front fender issue. So we've got some work to do, and I've already got a place lined up that's gonna get this taken care of for me. I wasn't going to do it originally, but then the more I thought about it, the more I'm like, yeah, no, I gotta get it done. So there used to be a roof rack on here that the original owner didn't have the key for, so it was a nightmare. I had to take it to a shop who eventually was able to get it off, and wow, that was something. But the way it worked was, remember I told you about the stereo. So the factory stereo I didn't have because I had the aftermarket one, and the person who helped me get this car had an original Blaupunkt stereo, and we swapped. So I gave him the roof rack, I shipped him the roof rack, and he shipped me the stereo, and we're both very, very happy customers. So what did I want to tell you about? So the story. Okay, let me see if I can set up my camera again so that I can actually tell the story. Sorry about all this. How do I want to do this? All right, let's get this set up so I can actually tell the story in the hot sun. Okay. All right, let's see if hopefully this is all going to be on camera here. All right, here's how it happened. When I started to look again, because I wanted this car, I forgot to, I got to show you the engine bay. So anyway, when I started to inquire about this car, I found this resource online called the Mcoop Buyer's Guide. It's run by a gentleman named John Martin. And as I was looking through there, and then I was seeing the prices of these cars. I mean, these things have gone up astronomical in value. And so I'm like thinking, wow, I don't know if I'm gonna be able to find something, with decent mileage and what I'm willing to pay. And so I was looking on his site, seeing what things were selling for, seeing what things have sold for, and I decided to email him. So I emailed him and said, hey, I've been looking at your site. I'm willing to pay X amount of dollars. Do you think I can find something, in this price range for this dollar amount? And he said, yeah, sure, it seems reasonable. You can get a nice little project car. So I'm like, yeah, cool, great. And so there was nothing on Auto Trader, nothing on all the sites. And within, it may have been about 3 days, he sends me a picture of an ad from an Auto Trader Classic site that has this car in it with my price range, and it has 80,600 miles on it. I could not believe it. I cannot believe actually that I took 2 days before I even contacted the seller, because I'm like, I don't know, I'm gonna try and wait. Do I really want to do it now? And 2 days later, I messaged the guy on the site, nothing. I wait 3 or 4 days. I email him back. I'm like, hey, do you really want to sell your car? I'm interested, blah, blah, blah. He writes back and he's like, oh, I'm sorry, I was out of town. I don't know why I replied to you, but it didn't show up. Yes, let's talk about it. He told me all about the vehicle. We got his number. We started to talk on the phone. And then I'm like, well, I would really like to come and do it, but I need to have the car checked out. So I tell John, because John's the one that told me about the car. I told him that, hey, I talked to the buyer, to the seller, and we've come to an agreement, but before I can get the words out of my mouth, he's like, I will go check it out for you. I'm like, are you serious? It's like, yeah, I only live an hour away. Mind you, the car's in Colorado. He lives an hour away. And now I'm thinking, okay, now we got to figure out, all the money. Okay, the money, the trip, how we're going to do this. Do I want to have it shipped all the way to Austin, Texas, or do I want to drive it home? And then I was thinking about doing it by myself, and then it was just crazy. So I got them two talking. They made a time where John went out there literally 2 days before I decided to book the reservation. So me and my wife flew out there, and the story gets super, super cool. So John checks out the car. He writes me, he takes pictures, and he writes me up this detailed analysis, and like, go for it. I see nothing wrong with the car. You'll have to do X, Y, and Z to it, but nothing's stopping you from doing it now. So the only thing that it needed was tires. So I had the guy put the tires on. Of course, I paid for them. He took care of the oil change, and we're good to go. So me and my wife wake up early Saturday morning on May 7th, or May 8th actually, and we fly out to Colorado. This guy picks us up from the airport, drives us back to his house. Mind you, he made it seem like he didn't live that far from the airport, but it was like a 45-minute drive. So as soon as we pull up into his driveway, I see the car sitting there. I'm like, oh yeah, this is gonna be great. We jump in, I take it for a quick spin. I'm like, let's go to the bank, take care of it. Now, my bank is still in San Diego, California. It's a credit union. He's with Wells Fargo, not a problem. I called my bank the day before, said, look, this is what I wanna do. Will I be able to do it? Will you allow me to, transfer that amount of money to this person? They're like, yes, but we'll have to set up some controls. Don't worry about it, we've got it set up. All you have to do is go there, and then they should be able to know what to do. So we get to the bank Saturday morning after the test drive, and we walk in, and I explain it to the young lady, and then the manager comes over, and she's like, okay, well, put your card in. Okay, you'll need to do this. I'm like, okay. She goes, but before you do that, this can only work one time, so you have to be sure we can do this. I'm like, oh, now you're scaring me. So I'm like, okay, hold on, let me call my bank. So I call my bank to make sure you guys set up the right control to make sure I can transfer this amount of money. And they're like, yes, we're good to go. So I'm like, yes, do it. They do it. I see the money come out of my account, and the manager goes, what's wrong? We have a problem. I'm like, what do you mean you have a problem? She goes, my system, and this is something that's just so complicated. Apparently Wells Fargo and the branches did something in their system to where managers couldn't do X, Y, or Z. They couldn't approve this. They couldn't approve large transfers. And since she wasn't the actual bank manager or the branch manager, she didn't have the password to be able to override it. And so I'm sitting here going, but you just took my money. And she's like, no, we didn't. I'm like, actually you did. I'm showing that you really just did. And she's like going, oh, okay, sir, can you come with me? So me, my wife, and this guy, and the seller, we all go back to her desk, and we're trying to figure out why my money is been taken. And they said it didn't, but yet I'm showing that it did. And she goes, can you refresh your screen? So I go back in and I refresh. I'm like, oh, okay, my money's back. So they didn't actually take it, but it was kind of freaky. It's a Saturday. Banks aren't open that late. And so now we're going, okay, so where else can we go? You guys can't do the transfer. We need a bank branch manager. She's like, well, there's a branch manager that is, at this other bank. I'll call him. They start talking, blah, 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 blah. That takes about 10, 15 minutes to get to the person and everything. And this branch is another 25-minute drive away. And we're getting close to the time of when their banks are going to be closing. So we jump in the truck, drive all the way over there. Mind you, the seller is our chauffeur at this point, drives us over to this bank. As soon as we walk up to this bank, we didn't even have to tell the lady. He went over to go try to find the branch manager. I walked up to the next teller, told her exactly what I wanted to do. She's like, no problem. That's when the bank manager comes walking over, and we already finished the transaction. It was like the other branch was clueless, but yet this young lady was like, yeah, do it all the time, not a problem. You want to do X, Y, Z? Okay, swipe it. Good, done. Finished. So now he has his money, I have my car. We drive back to his place, have a drink of water, chit chat for a minute, and then now we have to drive this car some 800, almost 900 miles from Colorado back to Austin, Texas, and we're gonna do this in 2 trips. So I think we spent 12 hours on the road. Can't remember what the number was, but we drove from Colorado, Fort Collins area, something like that, all the way to Lubbock, Texas, and it was, and we could not take toll roads because didn't have any plates. He let me take his plate with me so I wouldn't get pulled over, but I didn't want to have to be going through tolls and then him getting the bill for this stuff. So it was great because we got to take the scenic route, we got to take all these back roads, but there was a storm that was coming in as we were leaving Colorado that we just barely got out of there in time and missed it. But man, oh man, the trip was so good. We didn't get into Lubbock until after midnight, and the reservation was for like 8 o'clock that night. Due to just all these different things happening, we didn't leave as early as we thought we were going to be able to leave, but nonetheless, we get to Lubbock at about almost 12:30. We check into the hotel, we go over to our room, and there's a used towel on the floor. We're like, okay, that's weird. We walk in, and we're like, this place smells like it's been smoked in. My wife asked for non-smoking. Then she goes over to the bathroom. She's like, I gotta go to the bathroom, and the bathroom is backed up with you know what, and it's disgusting. So like, there's no way we could sleep in this bed. There's no way we're staying in here. So we walk all the way back out here. Mind you, we've been on the road. It's been dark, driving around these dark, windy roads that I know nothing about, from Colorado through New Mexico into Lubbock. And so we're tired. So they give us another room. So we go into this room and we just crash out. And I slipped in my clothes because I saw the sheets, and I'm like, I do not want to, I'm not gonna do it. So we just crashed, woke up early that next morning, jumped in the car, and then drove from Lubbock into Austin, Texas. That was about a 6-hour drive. And somebody correct me if I'm wrong on that, but whatever. But this car, oh my gosh, I love how it drives. This long trip was great, even though it's horrible on gas, but it was just so comfortable, especially for somebody, that has back issues, bulging disc and all this. Oh, it's great, great, great. So anyway, that's the story. And then John Martin's coming here in about a month or so. We're going to be going on a mini Dork Fest, which is, for the Z3 Mcoop. So it'll be great. That's the story. I'm gonna pop this hood. And that's the S52 240 horsepower, naturally aspirated 6-cylinder. Yeah, pretty clean. Oh, I forgot to tell you. The other cool part about this story is that this was a one owner car. So he first leased it, and then after his lease was up, he went ahead and purchased it. He was the sole owner. So that makes me number 2. I am the second owner of this Emola Red Z3 Mcoop, which is identical to the one I had about 9 years ago. And I'm gonna take you on a journey when I get the repaint done, get those things fixed up. I'm gonna go with the black M on the back, on the trunk. I think I'm gonna go with the side M's. I'm gonna do those black as well to match the front. And I will be getting her tinted and refinishing the wheels. And yeah, let's just go on a journey together with my baby.